CGTN, China Global Television Network.
A virtual space race is on to build the Metaverse, but just what exactly is the Metaverse?
Meta in Chinese is called Yuan. In Zhouyi, Yuan represents the beginning of the world.
So in this novel, it envisions a 3D virtual world where people from physical worlds can interact through their avatars.
Tech giants followed by startups are scrambling to make Metaverse a reality by pouring billions of dollars into new concepts without any hesitation. Why does the Metaverse matter now?
The merge of new tech promotes the burn of a lot new things and concepts.
Whatever the company developed a compelling Metaverse product first will have a very big first mover advantage.
Is the concept overhyped, or is it the next internet revolution?
I think all emerging consumer brands will benefit from the Metaverse trends.
The Metaverse is coming. Are we ready for it? How will we build it together? And what could our lives look like? Only on BizTalk, only on CGTN. Hello and welcome to this edition of BizTalk on CGTN. I'm Guan Xin in Beijing. Today we're going to talk about Metaverse. If you're interested in technology, you probably have heard a lot about the word recently. So what exactly is Metaverse? How transformative will it be to society and industry? Where are we now and what are the challenges and risks? To answer these questions, joining me today are three special guests. Sun Wei, emerging technologies researcher and distinguished mentor at Stanford University, and Zeno He, Omniverse business lead of NVIDIA in China, and Song Ting, AI and NFT artist. Well, thank you all for your time today. So let's start with the basics. What is Metaverse?
First of all, Metaverse is such a concept that's difficult to define. Just to share some of my personal points of view, I think the Metaverse in English might differ from what it represents in Chinese. Here, Meta in Chinese is called Yuan. 1,000 years ago, in Zhouyi, the book of changes, Yuan represents the beginning of the world. It is a big concept. Also means the start of all the positive and the goodness. Therefore, I think what we understand the Yuan Yu Zhou should be a word of harmony or balance. It is the balance of digital and real world. Also, it is the balance of objective existence and subjective willingness.
What is the Metaverse? Actually, no one can clearly define it. But in brief, it is expected to create a 3D world, moving the internet from 2D web pages to 3D web places. To have an easier and better sense of what the Metaverse could look like, think of it like the movie Ready Player One. Maybe that could help you get a quick glimpse into our future lives. Actually, the word Metaverse can be dated back to the early 1990s in the science fiction novel Snow Crash. And the core technologies like AR and VR that build Metaverse up are nothing new as well, which have set up as early as 2016. But why has Metaverse become the latest buzzword in tech sectors? So, Ms. Sun, the Metaverse is still a relatively abstract concept to many of the public. Help us better understand it.
So right now, I think the concept Metaverse is more of an ever-evolving digital realm that is interconnected and interoperable, intelligent, and also immersive. So eventually, it will blend people's virtual existence with their physical ones. So why Metaverse now? I think many people ask that. I think because right now, a web of emerging technologies such as blockchain, AI, virtual reality, augmented reality, even robotics and the 5G communications are all progressing rapidly. And right now they're start to support these features of Metaverse and bring them into reality. So that's quite exciting.
You know that analysts say that the Metaverse is a decade away, and Meta hopes that by then the Metaverse will reach 1 billion people, host billions of dollars of digital commerce, and support jobs for millions of people. But Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has said that the Metaverse is more of a marketing buzzword than a practical concept. What is your take?
Metaverse is a digital world that people believe could be created by merging multi-tech. For years, this tech from different areas running and improving on their own track. Coming to 2021, this tech become more and more mature together with the ecosystem around them. All the quantitative change are convincing people to believe the metaverse could be realized for sure. For example, we recently made digital avatars, a digital factory like BMW, and the digital twin Earth that we can predict climate data now. So to sum up, it is a quantitative change of multiple tech result in lots of new applications. And the merge of new tech promotes the burn of a lot of new things and concepts. So I will say that the digital world is coming. Also, digital tech will help us in the future.
What could our lives look like living in the Metaverse? Facebook parent Meta probably can get us up to speed on such a vague concept. During Facebook's annual Connect presentation, the company shared its vision of what people can do in a super connected world created by the Metaverse. There are 6 applications involved, including social connections, entertainment, gaming, education, commerce, and fitness. Users will be able to do almost everything from home just by wearing a VR headset. Ms. Song, what do you think about the future of Metaverse? How much time do you think that people will spend their time in Metaverse? And what things or experiences that this world have to offer? And what would be the things that people can experience in it?
I think the Metaverse world will give more space and friendly, open-minded encouragement to the non-mainstream culture. As my own practice, a lot of developing countries' crypto artists chose them out of their own will. So the answer for me, maybe it depends for each human being's will.
And Mr. He, what is Omniverse? Do you think Omniverse will ultimately become a reality?
We can use in Omniverse platform to create a digital asset, digital avatars, digital factories. So this is a platform. It is a toolkit for co-creating Metaverse or 元宇宙. Omniverse had been developed 5 years ago. It had been extending functions to provide better experience for users. It is a very early stage. However, some industry had progressed quite fast, had create their own digital world and the metaverse. Such as some factories of manufacturing, the digital twins tech is needed to map the production process, which help to optimize production tech, improve and reduce cost. The key challenge for digital twins factory now is the problem of running big data. Our Omniverse platform could solve this pain point through open source USB and MDL technologies and make it easier to operate.
Coming up next, which sectors is better positioned to capitalize on the Metaverse?
Gaming industry is such an interesting frontier of the Metaverse development.
I think the most potential one should be digital human.
A batch of companies are jumping on the Metaverse bandwagon. Is the hype-up investment game risky? Should people worry about getting swept up?
Companies rebranding or labeling them as Metaverse company without offering any core Metaverse products will give Metaverse a very bad name.
360-degree profiles of industry movers and shakers, tech mavericks, and policymakers. We drill down on their success. We ask how they set strategy and how they navigate in an increasingly competitive market. Real talk, real business. Join the conversation. BizTalk, only on CGTN.
Experts believe that the metaverse can be more than a decade away because the infrastructure and computing power needed to sustain countless lives don't yet exist. But companies can't wait. Tech giants have taken the lead with smaller businesses following. Facebook renamed itself Meta last October, demonstrating its all-in ambition on the concept. Microsoft bid $69 billion for the Activision Blizzard in January. The move was Microsoft's biggest deal ever. The surging interest reflects the intrinsic draw of thematic investments. And Ms. Lin, tech giants such as Meta, Google, Apple have joined the competition to build the virtual future. The recent headline comes from Microsoft. How does this mega deal mean for Microsoft and the industry?
I see this deal signals two important aspects. So the first aspect is that there is an intensified competition among the big tech. By acquiring the Activision, and Microsoft will become the third largest gaming companies in the world after Tencent and Sony. So I think this gives a very strategic move for Microsoft to better position themselves as in the metaverse. The second perspective, I think, for the Activision itself is that the company lacks a series of emerging technologies in order to outcompete its peers. For example, it lacks the deep machine learning capabilities, the data analytics, the high-performance computing platform, the cloud computing platforms, and also a high level of cybersecurity, which can all be offered by Microsoft. So I think the deal is a win-win situation. But it's worth noting that right after the acquisition announcement, the U.S. Senate committee voted on the antitrust bill. I think this is a very interesting timing, and maybe it could potentially harm the deal for Microsoft, and we'll have to see. So it's not 100% certain that the acquisition will go through.
Is it risky to invest in Metaverse? We have heard reports about people buying like real estate in Metaverse. Do you recommend doing that?
It's risky indeed. For the ordinary investors, pay attention to that because many innovations happening in Metaverse are just booming. I think the Metaverse should have healthy creator economy. Meanwhile, a very programmable scalability. Those two things are very important. So for those booming innovations, whether investors could figure out, the founding team, they have a strong ability to grow into products and change the digital life of people. That's a question. And I think all the investors who are interested in Metaverse investment should have the professional skills, especially basic knowledge based on hardware technology and software technology at the same time. Secondly, they have very, very deep interest into the international community. They have to study and observe how other Metaverse lovers, users think the founding team's enthusiasm and ability is enough.
And Mr. He, analysts say a new global infrastructure based on massive computing power should support leading chip makers like NVIDIA and Intel. How is NVIDIA cashing in the opportunity?
We believe in the new digital world, it is fair to everyone to create new content. Personally, I think digital worlds in future must have 5 key elements beyond the very basic 3, digital, human, objectives, and environment. There are also another 2 quite critical. One is the people's belief and culture. The other one is digital economic system. The first 3 could be called digital assets, while the fourth one is kind of know-how, which could be trained by AI. Last but not least, the fifth one is a system which empowers us to trade in a virtual world. I think the most potential one should be digital human. According to a latest report, the digital human market size would reach up to $500 billion globally by 2028.
Chinese firms are also looking to sweep into the metaverse. Baidu, for example, has already hosted its AI developer conference in Metaverse last December. Morgan Stanley said the total addressable market for the metaverse in China could be around $8 trillion. So it's no surprise that tech giants like Tencent, NetEase, and TikTok owner ByteDance are all trying to get a piece of the metaverse pie. A variety of governments has also made metaverse moves. Shanghai has released a 5-year plan to use the metaverse in public services and other enterprises. That move is a signal that Chinese cities are moving into the new territory. And Ms. Sun, where are we now in terms of the stages of the metaverse development? Are we still in the infancy?
Yes, I think we're still in the very early stage of the metaverse, but that means that there are so many possibilities for metaverse to build, in utopian way or dystopian way. So we have to be aware that what we do right now put a significant impact in the future of the metaverse developments.
Why is it important to a lot of people working to make it a reality?
I think people are seeing the metaverse and also the next generation internet, the Web3, as the next big thing. People, especially tech companies, are persuaded that a lot of technologies, emerging technologies, coming to mature, such as the AI, blockchain, and virtual reality. So whatever the company, develop a compelling metaverse product first, will have a very big first mover advantage. So I think that's why there are a lot of investments and the buzz around it.
That leaders across diverse industries, including blockchain, gaming, arts, retail, fashion, healthcare, and more, you name it, are digging deep to understand the immersive world of the metaverse and how to position themselves as key players in an emerging ecosystem. Ms. Sun, is there too much of hype? Are you concerned about the amount of investment pouring into the industry?
Corporate investments are poured into developing these emerging technologies and product planning. We've seen individual investors spend tens of thousands of dollars purchasing virtual land, collecting this fashionable items or digital arts. And we also see some governments are embracing this concept of metaverse. So all of these are fascinating. I think it's great to see the ecosystems and the technologies are attracting so many attentions and investment. But on the other hand, I've also seen companies rebranding or labeling them as metaverse company without offering any core metaverse products. And then their company valuation go multifold, and I think I'm concerned about that kind of hype. I think eventually those companies or market players will give metaverse a very bad name because they're not doing anything but kind of taking advantage of the buzzword.
Ms. Song, what kind of companies is better positioned to capitalize on this concept?
I think all emerging consumer brands will benefit from the metaverse trends, game companies included. And I think there will be a new concept, culture and entertainment industry. There will be huge involvement, and there will be a new concept games too. Meanwhile, I think the smaller, smarter, more creative studio, especially young studio, fit in the metaverse era the most. Compared with the big companies, actually the young people, they have more flexibilities. And I think, as the example said, the new jobs will emerge. That will be very interesting.
Coming up next, how will we solve the challenges that currently swirl around privacy and data protection?
I think regulators and maybe the whole society needs to monitor this very closely, and regulators may need to step in if necessary.
Should we be hopeful or fearful for our changing digital world?
I have to teach my kids what is human in physical world and what's the kind of human I will love.
It should we always serve and benefit the goodness of mankind to balance between virtual and real world.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London, China Global Television Network. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
As we increasingly live in digital spaces, concerns over privacy and security in the metaverse are on the rise. More worry also comes for the mental health of users and the potential to prefer the virtual world over reality. That's because the metaverse is so much more powerful than the internet has ever been. In the 3D world, devices control what we see and implicitly control what we do, and that may end up costing us our freedom of thought. Ms. Sun, constructing trusted ecosystem for the metaverse is a critical consideration. Do you think ultimately an internet based on blockchain technology will be decentralized or controlled by big tech? Is it something that we should worry about?
Yeah, I think there will be an ongoing battle between the big tech and those blockchain-enabled technology companies and the startups. And frankly, each of them have their very unique competitive edges. For big tech, they have enormous resources in terms of financial resources or technology resources to provide the long-term product upgrades for their users, maximum or utilize their user experiences in the exchange of users' data through their centralized systems. For blockchain-enabled startups and technology companies, they are encouraging this community-based, decentralized, trustless, and open platforms for their users. Mm-hmm. So they will reward their users based on their participation or creativity of the community without owning their personal data. So I think those two place very significant differences in two parts. But I'm quite worried about the privacy and the cybersecurity aspects brought up by the big tech, especially in Metaverse. If the issue will be exponentially worse if left unchecked by the big techs. Mm-hmm. So I think regulators and maybe the whole society needs to monitor this very closely, and regulators may need to step in if necessary.
And Ms. Song, how do you think about the relationship? Will there be emotional or psychological concerns that we should be wary of?
I think in our digital era, we need a real philosophy involvement too. And yes, for sure, there will be a lot of reality apathy for the kids. And that's something we have to face together, because when Gen Z, they're 2 or 3 years old, they just holding the telephone all day. That's a fact we have to face. And I think the ethic education needs to be prepared in advance and in very urgent need. Right. Because I have to teach my kids in the future what is human in physical world and what's the kind of human I will love. And that's a thing I want to teach there first. And I think all the human beings living today in the earth, our ultimate path to the metaverse is to gain a better life for humans.
The marquee map of the metaverse stretches out far beyond our imagination. As of right now, the stack broadly focuses on 7 layers, including the required backbone infrastructure and tools, user interface, and virtual environment. Each is supported by numerous blocks. Given that the metaverse is only beginning to take shape, huge white spaces for innovation needed to be filled. Both private and public companies will be able to plug into this virtual system, and a multitude of service providers will be involved. Additional specific investable opportunities will arise in the long term. And Mr. He, what other opportunities do you see with the metaverse?
Yes, I would like to share my experience. I hope that there would be more things relative to my hobbies in the digital world. For example, I am a basketball fan. I hope there would be some 3D digital assets provided or available, such as the jump shot collection of Michael Jordan, which could be visualized by AR glasses family on my training ground. So I believe the application who could better keep improving the user experience would gain bigger scale. This is exactly what the short video and the online shopping platform practicing. So I think many opportunity and everywhere.
Indeed, technology is key to metaverse development, and we look forward to more applications and more experiences. And Ms. Song, what is your thinking? Will it usher in an era of mass adoption and barrier-free digital interaction, or will it be a niche product or many niche products reserved for gamers and future tech enthusiasts?
I think in the future, for the whole metaverse industry, user experience will definitely be more friendly. Larger adoption than before will be inevitable, but there will still be tech barriers on fetching some, like latest news, the most insightful predictions, because innovation inside the metaverse world industry will not stop. But when it comes to Gen Z, we have to admit that metaverse may already start its journey as a niche, geeks fun product. But for Gen Z, those who are so familiar with mobile electronic devices since 2 or 3 years old, after all, metaverse has relation to future consumptions. Any brands will not let themselves miss it. So I think finally there will be a larger word for more people, but in multi-centered way. That will be a metaverse future image for myself.
Well said. They're both opportunities and challenges. And that's all the time we have for today, and thank you all for your great insights. Sun Wei, emerging technologies researcher and a distinguished mentor at Stanford University, Zeno He, Omniverse business lead of NVIDIA in China, and Song Ting, AI and NFT artist. And that's all for this edition of BizTalk on CGTN. Thanks for being with us. Until next time, bye for now.